Hello, welcome to the Leverton Review, where I, Adam, literally try to review everything in the world on my quest to be the most prolific reviewer of all time. Obviously, I can't literally do that, but it's a good tag, right? And today we're going to be talking about the true crime series from Netflix called Should I Marry a Murderer? But before we begin, I'd like to say that I really feel that Netflix's true crime documentaries have taken a significant ding in terms of quality over recent years. Netflix brought us. I'm not sure that they produced all of these series, but they certainly aired them on their streaming service. The Jinx, Making a Murderer, The Staircase. So these are shows that had like a huge societal impact, and in the shows raised interesting questions, and they showed these investigations from different perspectives. And I don't think that this series will actually do that unless you're a resident of Scotland. Because I think if you're a resident of Scotland, some of the things that this investigation shows and the series show are like legitimate questions for you and how uh, law enforcement does its job. But anyway, let's talk about what actually happened. The series actually focuses on Caroline Muirhead. She was a lady who was working as a forensic pathologist in Glasgow um, around the time that this disappearance happened, and she got out of a bad relationship and she went on Twinder. She went on Tinder, and she met Sandy McKellar, one of the twins. So she met him and she started to develop this relationship with him, but she realized that he kind of had like a dark side, but she was like really in love with him. And it seems like at this point, she sort of lost control of her life because he asked her to marry him rather, and she said yes. And so they started to plan the wedding arrangements. And then one day they had a very intense conversation where Sandy told Caroline, like, listen, I have something to tell you. Actually, my brother and I, 3 years ago, we accidentally killed a guy and we buried him on the property where we work. And Caroline was like, what? Oh, you poor thing, I'll support you. But she did the right thing and she went to the police, and um, she actually left a Red Bull can where Sandy said that he buried the body. And if we talk a bit about Caroline's character, she's very engaging, and like the the document that's the best part about this series, is that they focus so much on her and her personality. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, because she is not the most interesting person in this whole thing. So I would say, generally, if you want to do this kind of thing well, you need to focus on the victim, what the victim was doing, and then you focus on the criminals and then the people around them, because there's so much time spent about how she feels and the damage that this has done to her life, that this guy who got brutally murdered, because it actually turns out that they did murder him because they hit him. He wasn't dead. Like, Sandy said to Caroline that he was dead when they hit him, but no, they hit him and then he was dying on the side of the road. They waited until he died and then they buried him. So victim first, then the criminal, and then the people affected by the criminal's actions who are not the victim, because that's that's like the hierarchy of needs of a true crime thing, because we can't forget the fact that there was an actual victim to this crime. And Caroline was a victim, but to a lesser extent because she's still alive, right? So they do focus on her a lot, and she made, I don't know now because we're focusing on this particular aspect of her life, she made a few decisions which were quite questionable. So she reports it to the police, and initially the twins get arrested and they get released because there's not enough evidence to detain them. And this is what she says. She's at home and she gets a message from a mutual friend, and says, "Oh, Sandy and Robert are out of prison." And she's looking at it, and then it goes to unread. And she's like, "Well, it went unread, so clearly I have to reply." No, you don't. That's not a law. You can ignore people. You can block people. It's okay. So then she wrote something like, "Oh, I'm so glad that he's okay." Then she gets a call from an unknown number. It's Sandy, and she's like, "Oh, but they know my phone. I have my phone in my hand. I can't ignore them." Yes, you can. You're an adult. You can ignore them. And she just kind of spirals after that, because basically she asks the police if they can get protection for her, and they say no. And she's like the main witness in this case because of what Sandy had told her, and she also kind of recorded him surreptitiously, secretly. She recorded the conversation secretly. So she's the main witness, but for whatever reason, she decides, yeah, Sandy can come and live with me. And then the police come to talk to her because she's the main witness. And she's like, "Oh, can I talk to you downstairs?" And the police detective just goes in and says, "What is he doing here? What is he doing here, Caroline?" And then she's like, "Oh," but they don't figure out that she's the one that gave the tip off. And then she goes to live on their where they live on this estate for a while, and they just do cocaine, and they drink, and they smoke, and they make bad decisions. And the point of the docuseries is to sort of show that the police didn't take enough responsibility for her. And the police argue like, she's an adult. She is a highly educated, intelligent woman. She should know what she should do. But clearly she did spiral, right? Because at the trial where she's supposed to testify, they send like a letter saying that if you don't testify, you'll be held in contempt. And she wakes up in the morning and she's like, "Yes, I'm going to go testify." And then she gets in the car and she's like, "No, no, 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 no." So she goes to the estate where Sandy had told her that he threw the bike in a lake or a waterfall. And she thinks if she can find this bike, it will prove that they did, in fact, do everything that she says they did. And so, but basically the Crown sort of, that's the prosecution in Commonwealth countries. The Crown drops the charge from being murder basically to manslaughter, and the brothers accept a plea deal, and she doesn't have to testify because obviously she's not really in a state to testify. So they admit that they had hit the guy, left him on the side of the road to die. So, I think that is an interesting story, and clearly it did kind of affect me because I can tell you what happened without looking at notes or anything. So it is an interesting story, but I don't think that it's well told. I think that the series could be longer, and you could have what happened to Caroline as part of maybe like one episode, because I think the the problem with the police is that they do a very necessary job, and it's really hard for them to improve because they're not a customer service organization, right? They don't go up to murderers and say, "How can we improve our investigations? Could you please fill in the survey?" They don't do that. So it one way that they can improve is by looking at documentaries like this and kind of coming to some conclusions, because I think the way they handled their witnesses does need to be improved. So, as I said in the beginning, I think this would have some impact in Scotland, but is it interesting outside of Scotland? The way it's told, no, I think that it fails. But what do you think? Did you watch this series? Do you think that Netflix still has it when it comes to true crime documentaries? If you like what I do, please like the video, please leave a comment, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 10 whole, like that, 10 whole people, 10 whole subscribers by the end of June. We are 40% of our, we're 40% of the way to the goal. We have 4 subscribers, so I think we can get 6 more subscribers. So if you like what I do, please subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.